Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Dungeons and Dragons players and dungeon masters alike. My name is Mr. Tarask, and today I want to talk to you guys about how to play dragons. To be more specific, I want to give you guys 5 tips about how I approach dragons, how I look at dragons, how I design my dragon encounters, and how I make my dragons as memorable as possible for my player characters. Also consider this episode 1 in one of my new video series where I will talk about a different creature in Dungeons and Dragons, in the Dungeons and Dragons lore and the Monsters Manual, or in the Volos Guide, or wherever, and I will give you guys my insights on how I play that monster, or how I would play that monster against a party. Anyway, here are my 5 tips, and I want to directly cut to the chase. My 5 most important tips, and the first tip is the most important tip for me, and that is something that people tend to forget a lot. I see a lot of people complaining that dragons aren't really hard to beat in Dungeons and Dragons. In 5th edition at least, dragons are slightly underpowered, I sometimes read, and that, quite frankly, is just not true, because there's one thing that people do not take into account, and that is tip number 1: dragons are smart. Most of the dragons, I mean a lot of the dragons, okay, some dragons are as dumb as fuck, but anyway, a lot of the dragons have a high intelligence score, and that's the first thing you need to take a look at when you design a boss encounter. How intelligent is my boss? And as a matter of fact, a dragon has sometimes a very high intelligence score, and they are sometimes even more intelligent than, let's say, a dwarven fighter, or sometimes even more intelligent than a wizard. So a dragon is a dangerous creature because it's so intelligent. For example, if you play a dragon, you can just put it inside of a cave somewhere, have your players go in, bash the living crap out of it, and go out, and do not spread out because they don't want to take any breath weapon. Well, not more than one person at the same time, at least. So they spread out, they bash the dragon, and the dragon goes down, and it becomes just a bubble of hit points that your players need to take down, and then they get the loot, and everything is super fun, happy times. That's not the way I play dragons at all. Dragons are smart. So also, a lot of dragons have been sitting in their lair for a heck of a long time. And if a smart creature is sitting in its lair for a heck of a long time, there's a big chance this creature has taken some precautions for when a brave adventurer might walk in. For example, I've run an encounter 2 weeks ago where I had this amazing trap room called the Umber Eyes, which I reviewed on my channel. Just click the link here somewhere on the screen. I had this trap room my players had to do before getting to the dragon, and this dragon built that trap room just to mess with the players. So this dragon was laughing its ass off while these players were trying to get through the trap room, and my players were already through a heck of a lot of their resources before even getting to the dragon. So that's a smart move of the dragon, because, well, it gave itself a chance to fight this high level party that was about to come in. So there is traps, there is this lair. Make sure your dragon, it has been sitting inside that lair, so it could have built some cover for itself, it could have built a maze even. It depends on what dragon your players, or of course, are fighting, because there's chaotic good dragons, there's chaotic evil dragons, and everything in between. I'm not really talking about that, I'm just talking about the encounter itself. And, well, dragons being smart takes me actually to tip number 2, and that is move around. I see a lot of dragon encounters, and I've been as a player in a lot of dragon encounters where the dragon was just sitting there hoping to recharge its breath weapon, and then use its breath weapon from where it was sitting, and just not jumping around, not moving around. And that's so important. A dragon has a lot of speed. A dragon has wings, and a dragon has a breath weapon. Okay, a breath weapon is the area of effect, so it can always hit more than one player character, right? So make sure your dragon, when you play it, when you are running a dragon, make sure it moves around, and it tries to, because of its high intelligence, it tries to position itself in such a way that it can breath weapon or area of area of effect as much people as it needs to, because this dragon is intelligent and it wants to live. It doesn't want to be killed, and your players walked in there. So it is their choice to fight this dragon, and this dragon does not want to die. So it's going to, with its high intelligence, going to position itself in a way where it can murder as much people in one shot as possible. Right? Tip number 3 has also to do with the intelligence of the creature, and that is let the creature learn about the player characters. I often play my dragons pretty dumb at the beginning. By that I mean that my dragon does not have any information about the player characters when the fight starts. But after a while, I'd say 2 to 3 rounds, this dragon is trying to smash into this frontline soldier with 22 armor class, and it's just not hitting it. At some point, this dragon is going to catch on to that, and it's not going to keep hitting the tank. It's going to turn around and think, wait a second, that wizard right there is not wearing the shiny armor. I maybe can attack that wizard right there. And then just use a lot of its speed, or even its flying speed, to get over to the wizard, make it attack the wizard, then fly over to the tank again, make it recharge its breath weapon, use its breath weapon on a few party members, move around with it, but let it learn about the players, let it learn about the players' weaknesses. Go in to the encounter as a dragon that doesn't know anything about the player characters, but in the middle of the fight, the dragon should have learned something, and it should be stronger and more difficult the further you get into combat, right? Tip number 4, for me at least, and that is 99% of my dragon encounters are, for me, optional. My dragon encounters are optional. This gives me a good chance to make them as hard as I can, because if they're optional, it is the player's choice to go fight them. Of course, I know there are some stories where the dragon is the main bad guy and your players, for the sake of the story, have to go kill the dragon. I have not used that a lot of times, so when I have a dragon, most of the time I just have it sit somewhere in its lair with a trap room or something. By the way, 2 players died from that trap room, well, from that dragon I was talking about earlier. It was very funny. But make it optional, so you can make it very hard. For example, this same dragon encounter I talked about earlier, I had a dragon in there that couldn't care less about the player characters, right? It wasn't even thinking of attacking them. It was even a friendly dragon. It was just saying like, hey guys, please go away. I don't want to attack you. I don't want to eat you. I'm not hungry. But in the middle of the room, I had this giant orange orb, shiny orb in the middle of the room that just had magic item written all over it. And the dragon said, I just want you guys to go. I'm not going to attack you. And it was extremely friendly. It was talking like, hey, you guys, okay, welcome, but I want you to go. And it was talking like that. And it just said that if the players would touch the magic item, that's when they would die, right? It is optional. It is completely optional to touch the magic item. Of course, I have a fighter in my party that I had a fighter in my party that decided to touch the magic item. He got glued onto the magic item, because that's what the orb does. It's a super heavy orb. When you touch it, you get glued to it and you cannot let go. Anything short of a wish spell cannot make you let go. So you have to cut off your hands if you touch it. Yes, my players are pretty high level, so I mess with them on certain ways. I'm evil like that. Anyway, this player touched that, so this fight broke loose and this dragon went berserk, and it focused on that one person. Of course, that one person completely got obliterated. Another paladin got obliterated. The other 3 guys, they managed to take down the dragon, level up. One of the other guys touched the magic item again. He had to cut off his hand, to get rid of the magic item. Anyway, this makes it completely optional, right? They know, okay, there's a dragon in here. It doesn't want to kill me. it's actually quite friendly even. I just don't touch its magic item. If I do touch its magic item, it's going to attack me. Most parties will touch the magic item and most parties will not walk away, but at least it's optional and at least that's their own stupid mistake for touching the magic item. Right? That brings me to tip number 5. Don't be afraid to kill player characters. And by that I mean the game is called Dungeons and Dragons. And I classify everything but dragons under dungeons in Dungeons and Dragons. I mean the dungeons themselves, the creatures that live there, the kobolds, the orcs, the basilisks, the beholders, everything that's in a dungeon, I consider the dungeon part of the game. But dragons get an entirely different, they get their separate word in the title of this freaking awesome game. So if your players fight a dragon, players are going to die. Not always, of course, there are sometimes a fight goes so well for the players that nobody dies. But a dragon, when you introduce a dragon, it should strike fear into the eyes and ears and faces of your players. When you say there is a white dragon sitting there, they have to go, there's a freaking white dragon over there. Right? So your players have to be really afraid of that dragon, and the only way to do that is to sometimes introduce a dragon that's so strong it kills 1 or 2 players, or sometimes even maybe gets to a TPK. Please don't be afraid of that, because to my opinion, Dungeons and Dragons is a game about heroes, right? And one cannot be a hero. I mean, the concept of being a hero cannot exist when there is no real threat. If there's no threat, there are no heroes. It's simple as that. I hope you guys had picked some information out of this. This video was more directed at the players, the dungeon masters, or players who become dungeon masters, or people just picking up the game and they want to play a dragon. They want to have a dragon in their game. If you guys picked something up from it, make sure to comment in the comments below. And I want to hear from you guys. What creature do you want me to cover next in my next video, in my next installment of this video series, where I give you tips about how I play certain creatures. I hope your inspiration may guide you.